In July of 1897, San Francisco and Seattle saw the return of miners from the Yukon territories carrying bags of gold full of riches beyond their wildest dreams. Stories of these miners were spread throughout the region and sparked what is known today as the Klondike Gold Rush. Over the course of 6 months, over 100,000 people lost their better judgments and stampeded for the Yukon Territory in Canada. These optimistic, wide-eyed stampeders came in all shapes and sizes and from nearly every background there is, and almost none of them knew what they were doing. As such, only about 30,000 stampeders were able to make the journey. In order to illustrate the arduous task of stampeding to the Yukon, allow me to take you on a narrative journey following the life and times of a theoretical character named Bob the Miner. The year is now 1897, and Bob the Miner has just heard about the fields in northwest Yukon, brimming with gold, ready to be taken. Enticed by the teasing promises of riches and fame, Bob the Miner decides to shed his former title and become Bob the Stampeder. Now, Bob the Stampeder has no idea how to go about stampeding, so he goes off to the local print shop and buys himself his own Stampeder's pamphlet packed with absolutely useless information and filling Bob's head with fantastical claims of enough riches to embarrass King Midas. Spurred on by his brand spanking new pamphlet, Bob the Stampeder sets off to the brand spanking new outfitter shop which has sprung up overnight, the owner of which is more than happy to sell Bob everything he may or may not need for his trip into the Yukon. Items that Bob will need include, but are not limited to, hats, heavy clothes, sleds, assorted mining tools, and a lot of food. In fact, because the Canadian Mounted Police would not let any stampeders cross the border into Canada without at least a year's worth of supplies, the quantity of food a stampeder needs amounts to over a ton. Armed with this array of gadgets, food, and sleds, Bob now sets off on his journey with dreams of staking a claim in the fields of the Yukon and striking it rich. Deciding to take the most common route of the gold rush, Bob the Stampeder hikes to the west coast of the United States, intent on taking a boat to Skagway, Alaska. Having reached his first destination at the lovely Alaskan town of Skagway, Bob the Stampeder now begins the second leg of his gold-induced journey, which is to hike through the Chilkoot Pass to the Yukon River. The Chilkoot Pass is a cold, dangerous, and treacherous pass, with the last half mile being the coldest, most dangerous, and most treacherous of all. Dubbed the Golden Staircase by stampeders, this last stretch raises up 1,000 feet, made up of over 1,500 steps, carved right out of the snow and ice. As bad as this sounds, this is actually the safer of two passes. A second pass, named White Pass, is even more dangerous. This pass is steep, narrow, and slick. Over 3,000 pack animals died on the trail of the White Pass, causing it to be named the Dead Horse Trail. After making the horrendous journey over the Chilkoot Pass, Bob the Stampeder now finds himself at Bennett Lake, where he needs to have a boat built for the 500-mile trip up the Yukon River to reach the gold fields. This trip takes about 3 weeks and will pass through several sets of rapids before finally reaching Dawson City. Unfortunately for Bob and all the other stampeders, there's hardly any gold to be had. While there was gold in places such as Dawson, by the time the stampeders arrived, the locals had all but stripped the gold fields bare. Sadly, out of the 100,000 people who left their lives to search for gold, only 30,000 were able to make the trip to the Yukon, and only 4,000 were able to find any gold at all. And out of that number, only a few left the gold rush with a profit. The ones who really got rich were the outfitters in boom towns that sprung up during the gold rush along routes to take advantage of foolhardy stampeders such as Bob. Poor Bob. Yet, because I am the narrator, I get to do what I want with Bob. So, Bob struck it rich and made a fortune in the gold rush, unlike the other poor saps who didn't. Thank you for watching. Good day.